more focus on kids creating things. Now, in some ways, that seems natural to me. When you're coding, you can create things, but that's often not at the core of CS education. Oftentimes, the real focus is on concepts, of learning particular concepts. And again, learning concepts is important, but I do think we can best learn concepts through creating things. Too often, schools think you have to learn the concepts first, and then you can create things. Whereas with coding or any other activity, they think learn the basics first, then you can work on projects. And I think our view is you should be able to learn the concepts through projects, not before projects. And it's why we made the whole structure of Scratch is so project-based. It's not just about learning, solving a puzzle to learn a certain concept. It's about work on a project you care about and learning the concepts through doing that. And in a lot of places, that's not what CS education is about. And unfortunately, even though we try to design Scratch to highlight the importance of work on projects and creating things and iteratively refining your creations, it's not always used that way. So too often we do see Scratch used in a way where it's just learning the core concepts and the technical skills of coding, and it misses what we think is most important. And we've seen this at times. There's one story that sticks in my head at one of our Scratch conferences that we had with educators all coming together here at the MIT Media Lab for several days of sharing experiences and learning new ways of using Scratch in the classroom. And at a reflection session at the end of the conference, there was an educator from Hong Kong that stood up and said he was embarrassed to admit that until now, he'd been realized that he was using Scratch, quote, the wrong way. And he said his kids had not enjoyed it, and the teachers in his school had not enjoyed it because it was just being used to teach them a particular set of skills. And he now saw the opportunity of using it for kids to work on meaningful projects and learn through that. And so it just opened his mind to new ways. So, of course, I was very happy that the conference had led him to understand new ways of thinking about Scratch and computer science education. But of course, I was sad that the teachers and children in his school had been using it in a different way until then. And in many other places, I'm sure a similar thing happens. So I do think we need to make that transition of not just thinking about learning concepts and technical skills, not to say those are bad things, those are good things, but need to do it in the context of creating.
Yeah, we've had some districts that we've worked with who will ask, hey, do you have a one-pager that shows all of the standards alignments and concepts alignments, et cetera, with the curriculum that I create? I'm like, no, we don't. But what we encourage you to do is focus on just going through projects that kids are interested in. You can go in any order you want, and they'll happen to learn concepts and practices, standards along the way. And if you happen to notice some gaps later on, then cool. Here are 5 projects that kind of address those. Pick one that looks interesting to you. What people don't understand is when I created this curriculum, I didn't look at the standards. I didn't look at the concepts, the practices. I just went with what are kids interested in and how can we go through those interests in a way that's meaningful to them. And then let's find some standards that happen to align with it after the fact. But people often start with the opposite of that.
This excerpt of the CSK8 podcast is from episode number 106, which is titled Lifelong Kindergarten with Mitch Resnick.